Is this the best opening to free agency in the Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch era? Are the 49ers done at wide receiver in the draft? And are the 49ers still on the hunt for a free agent? Rob Stats Guerrera and I will talk about all that and more right after this. I'm Jason Aponte. That is Rob Stats Guerrera. This is the Bully Ball Podcast on the Gold Standard Podcast Network, the only 49ers podcast that will not acknowledge the substation. Rob, what's up, buddy?
Jay, thanks for letting me pinch hit for Steph on today's show. I got to tell you, I spent a long time listening to that George Kittle interview with Bus and the Boys, and they brought up the substation, and it took all the strength in my bones to get through it.
Yeah, with those interviews, I tend to stay away from them unless there's something, and if there is something clip worthy, it'll be on Twitter. I did want to say, because I did see you mention that in our text message. Ricky Pearsall has his own YouTube channel as well too, and I stumbled upon it, and it was him after it was before the Super Bowl. Everything was going on in the Bay. He went to visit a bunch of kids and at a school, and he did a football camp. That's where that Justin Jefferson clip of him standing next to him and everything, and the kid asking about Justin Jefferson. And then one of the most, I guess, impactful moments was he ran into the cop who was the first responder on his shooting again, and the emotions that came out of Ricky Pearsall. He just started crying immediately. Still, like, look, I'm not gonna tell you how to feel about being shot. I don't care how long ago that was, but it was something that they have such a special bond that he just was crying, and she just was like, "Hey, I'm glad you're okay," and everything. And it was one of the cooler things that I noticed from that video.
I think that, and I can't speak to this. This is pure speculation, but I would imagine he's living his life now, doing his thing, but just the sight of her just takes him right back to that moment, and he feels all those emotions and those memories come flooding back. And I imagine, I would probably burst into tears too. It was scary as hell. He thought he was going to die.
That's what he kept saying, and he kept saying that there was nothing that you did that like made me feel anything, other than what was going on in my head. You made me feel better, like it was cool. So, I mean, look, again, Ricky Pearsall doesn't have a big YouTube channel. YouTube channels aren't for all players. I would actually implore players to stop starting YouTube channels. But Ricky Pearsall's channel was fine, and I actually stumbled upon it, so I wanted to pass that along. He actually did really well with the stuff that he had going on. Nonetheless, speaking of wide receivers, we talked all offseason about the 49ers and how this offseason is going to be about not only adding to the wide receiver room, but completely changing it. And if I would have told Rob Stats Guerrera on March 17th of 2025 that the San Francisco 49ers would employ Mike Evans and Christian Kirk and have Ricky Pearsall and have them as their top three wide receivers, Rob Stats Guerrera would tell me from a year ago
that you were nuts, that Mike Evans was never leaving Tampa Bay, that the 49ers were going to roll with Ricky Pearsall and Demarcus Robinson and maybe the young guys. I didn't see this happening at all. And to be fair, the 49ers, I think it was Barrows reported that they were not in on Mike Evans at first. They were in on Alec Pierce. And when they didn't get Pierce, or they realized he was going to be out of their price range, they pivoted to Mike Evans. So this isn't even plan A for the 49ers. But I got to tell you, it's a hell of a plan B.
Hell of a way to pivot. And shout out to George Kittle as well, too. We're talking about George Kittle. George Kittle is a new I guess, agent for the 49ers. I really did like what Mike Evans said, man, even if I don't agree with him in the press conference. He said the 49ers are a piece away, and I'm that piece. Well, they're not, and you're not. But that is really, really, really nice to hear. And it really is. It just signifies the culture, right? So if we ever talked about will players come here to play, what about the substation? All that shit's out the window right now, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, they asked George, did Mike Evans ask you about that? He was like, no, he never mentioned it. I said at the time that it was a topic because the Super Bowl was in San Francisco, and that once the Super Bowl cleared out, it wouldn't matter at all. And we haven't heard it mattering at all since then.
Yeah, and it still shows that this team still wants to win. They still have that desire, right? Like George Kittle's asking a player who is going to the Hall of Fame to come play with them and recruit. I wouldn't be mad at any 49ers player who didn't recruit. That's not your job. That is not your job at all. That is not part of your job. Now, if you want to go out there and do that, that's something completely different. That is above and beyond, right? When you work retail, like I have, when I had a job for the longest parts of my life, Home Depot, Foot Locker, I would do enough to just make sure I can punch in and punch out, right? That's it. I was there to get my 8 hours and dip. But the people who went above and beyond were the ones who were given more leeway. And I didn't understand any of that. But George Kittle does. And that is something that's great. And not only did it land you a wide receiver, it landed you a future Hall of Famer. And we talked about this, Rob, on Tuesday. Mike Evans is an upgraded Jawan Jennings, even at his age. Upgraded. I want to make sure we say that. Upgraded. Guy who can win outside, win 50-50 jump balls, will catch more passes if they're thrown to him than Jawan Jennings will. So Mike Evans is an upgrade. I don't care what the age is. And then when you look at the deal, it's year to year. Listen, we are going to glow a lot about this free agency period right now for the 49ers. We are going to glow a lot about it because there's not much to be upset about, if at all anything. You've got Mike Evans and Christian Kirk, and they are in tow for this season for $20 million combined. That is probably the worst that you would get for a wide receiver 2 on someone else's team. So the 49ers are cooking, Rob.
Keep in mind, Jawan Jennings asked the 49ers for $20 million before the start of the season last year, just for him.
And he's asking for it now. And is there a reason on March 17th that no one signed him?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. At the price point that they brought these guys in, I mean, Mike Evans at what his cap number is like $4 million and change this year. It's a risk well worth taking if you're the 49ers. You can't turn that deal down.
No, you can't. And if Mike Evans ends up with 750 yards and 9 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns, and plays 13, 14 games, that's a win. That's a win. I don't need 1,000. I doubt you're going to get 1,000 based on the way that the 49ers don't, funnel targets to people. But you have to understand what's a successful season, even if it's a down season for a player who has been massively successful every single year of his career and is going to be a Hall of Famer. So Mike Evans, you don't have to get in here but do anything but like 750, 800 yards and 10 touchdowns. I'll be fine. I will be fine. I don't need 1,000 yards.
And I pointed this out yesterday, and I think it's worth saying again, too. Everyone's like, oh, his hamstring. Like, yeah, I expect his hamstring to cause him to miss games at some point this season. It did with Davante Adams, too, last year. He missed a month with the Rams because of a hamstring injury. But you just hope that Mike Evans will be ready to go by the time the playoffs come around. He'll contribute in the meantime. He's going to miss time at some point, and you hope he's there in the playoffs ready to roll. That's what you got to hope if you're the 49ers. Is it a risk? Absolutely, it's a risk. Guess what? Every single move they do comes with some sort of risk. You could go with a younger player, but you risk not getting the same quality. So you just have to decide which risk you're most comfortable with taking.
And do you think that the Rams didn't like what they got from Davante Adams?
Right. He's cooking.
I mean, he led the league in like red zone touchdowns. Like he literally was just like, again, it's funny. Davante Adams had his career extended because of Matthew Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is Mike Evans hoping to have the same? And the best part for the 49ers is we get to do this on a year-by-year basis. We don't have to sit there and be like, man, we're hooked to this guy until he's 36. This is all we think he's going to bounce back. If he does, great. If he doesn't, fine. We're
out.
Fine.
Yeah, and you figure it out from there. That's why, people are saying, they're signing all these old guys. Well, number one, there's not a lot of 24-year-olds available in free agency. Like, you get younger through the draft, not, through free agency. You can't always get those guys because it takes a long time to get to free agency. But it's not like a 5-year deal with Mike Evans where they're tied to him forever and you're hoping he's got to find the fountain of youth for 5 years. 17 games, 20 games, let's call it. That's what you're hoping for Mike Evans. That's a risk worth taking. And if it doesn't pay off, then you're out and you move on. To me, I don't see a downside. I really don't.
Great 1765 says, since when does Purdy extend careers? Jawan Jennings owes all of his money to Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan together. Just
Kendrick
don't
Bourne.
forget that. Don't forget that. Just don't forget that. Okay, I don't want that to be lost in the sauce. Jawan Jennings owes every single dollar that he intends to make in the NFL to Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan. I don't think that's controversial, and I don't think that that is something that is wrong at all.
Did you see what Kendrick Bourne said after he signed with the Cardinals? They were like, "Why'd you sign here?" He was like, "I had one offer." But
Yeah,
that's all.
and
That's due to Kyle Shanahan cooking him, drawing up plays, and getting him open last year.
that's how we're about to, we were about to go into this wide receiver room this offseason. Was, can we get Kendrick Bourne back? Oh man, we need Kendrick Bourne to join. You don't want to be in that spot, right? You don't want to be in that spot. So Mike Evans is your starting X. He'll mix in with Ricky Pearsall out there. But the Christian Kirk thing, 1 year, $6 million. That is an insane amount of money to get from a player who is still awfully productive. And I want to point out a few things. If you think that this was something that, the 49ers are giving him a gift for, no. The Jacksonville Jaguars believed the hell out of Christian Kirk. They ruined the wide receiver market with that deal. They ruined it. Deebo Samuel was looking like, thank you, like that year. The Houston Texans didn't shy away from that, and it just wasn't because, Christian Kirk is washed. It's Houston's offense is trash, and C.J. Stroud regressed, and there's Nico Collins, and, they just were tough to watch. But 1 year, $6 million for a guy who's an experienced number 3 and is going to be a slot guy and still has plenty in the tank. Rob, I wanted Hollywood Brown, but 1 year, $6 million for Christian Kirk, man, I'm not going to sit here and complain about that at all.
Yeah, I think that basically, in my mind anyway, you get relatively the same production out of either one of those guys. I heard Matt Mayoko talking about this on his YouTube channel, and I wanted to ask you about it. Is Christian Kirk exclusively a slot guy? And the reason, okay, good, because the reason I ask that is the way Matt kind of put it, like Evans plays the X, Pearsall plays the Z, and Kirk's in the slot, and the Niners are set. And it's like, yeah, that's great, but that assumes you're going to have those guys all year long. And we saw with the defense last year, they had guys that had assigned spots, and then when the injuries came, everybody had to do something they weren't supposed to do, and it all broke down. So if you're telling me Kirk can play outside too, that's good. I feel a little better about things because you're not going to have all 3 of those guys for all 17 games.
Yeah, Mike can play X, Ricky can play X, Mike can play F, Ricky can play F, Kirk can play F, Kirk can play Z, Ricky can play Z. You're right now, you're in a spot where you're not like, this is it, right? When you have Jawan Jennings at X over and over and over, you got to find a way to get him involved. But you don't have that issue anymore when there's an actual X, like an actual guy who can get himself open. And then one round he's out, he's at F, Ricky's out there at X. Good luck trying to guard all 3 of these very versatile guys. But Mike is the X guy. He is the X guy, and he is somebody who can go get the football, will go get the football, has gone to get the football, and still at 33 has a ton in the chamber. And if we're looking for red zone targets, George Kittle's not going to be, he says week 1. That's fine. I don't know what Bustin' with the Boys was saying. I would doubt that he plays week 1. You still need that guy. And that's what Jawan Jennings was, a red zone guy. So I love this. I love this actual room right now. And I never would have thought that this room would have come together this way.
It looks so much better from where we were at the end of the season last year. Like you said, we were like, what do we do if we lose Kendrick Bourne? It's like, okay, I can exhale a little bit. And I think it does give them flexibility, Jay, that if they're at 27 and there's a defensive end that they really like, or heaven forbid, an offensive lineman, they don't have to go, yeah, but we really desperately need a wide receiver, so we got to pass up on those guys. They can go other places in round 1 because they don't have this crushing desperation now at wide receiver.
Yeah, and you have guys that can do everything. right? Like, and you don't have guys that are pigeonholed, right away. Like, and you're saying, Mike can only play X. Ricky can only play Z. Like, you get to move around, all these guys, and the more that they get comfortable, the better it'll be. And then, look, again, let's go through the wide receiver room right now because they're only keeping 6 and Sky Moore's gone. Ricky Pearsall, I was gonna say Kendrick Bourne, my God. Mike Evans and
Christian
oh my
Kirk.
God, Christian Kirk. Okay. Jordan Watkins, Jacob Cowing. Yeah, you're there, but your spot is nowhere near defined at all. At all. The
DeMarcus
49ers, DeMarcus Robinson is the other one. The 49ers are still asking for a jump from these guys. But just because John Lynch mentions you in a press conference doesn't mean that you have something sewn up. And you better watch your back because the 49ers are absolutely going to draft another receiver, Rob, right?
I think so, yeah, at least one.
Yeah. So whether that's pick 27, pick 56, wherever it is that they pick again, that's a valuable pick if it's in the first 2 rounds. If it's Omar Cooper's got to play over Jordan Watkins and Jacob Cowing. I don't want to see either of those guys on the field over Omar Cooper at 27. Whoever the first round pick is, he's got to play. We're not doing this again. We're not doing another year of like, damn, where is he in the doghouse? Nope. These guys gotta join right away and start going.
And look, Jordan Watkins was a 4th round pick. Jacob Cowing was a 4th round pick. That's different than being a 2nd round pick. Like, yeah, 4th round pick, you hope you get something out of them. But 2nd round picks are expected to be starters, in my opinion. And they played Ricky Pearsall. He was a 1st round pick. They played him as soon as they could. As soon as that he got back from the gunshot wound, he played. So it wasn't like a thing where Kyle was hesitant to throw him in there. They threw him out there immediately. You would think a 2nd round pick would have that privilege, I guess is the word.
Yeah, and you would think that they would get more runway, right? Like to make mistakes. But you don't. And if you're not moving well in practice, you're not going to play. That's it. That's why Jordan Watkins doesn't play. We don't know if he's good at football. I'm going to keep saying it. We don't know if he's good at football. And the idea that the 49ers drafted him and then they drafted him and he's fast and he has to play. Where on earth is that written? Tell Danny Gray that. Like what are we doing? He might not be good. And Strawberry React says Debo played early as a 2nd round pick. Oh, he didn't. It took him a little while. It was Marquise Goodwin. It was still Trent Taylor. It was still a bunch of guys. Yes. In 2019, the San Francisco 49ers, I was there, opening day, Tampa Bay. Jimmy Garoppolo threw a touchdown pass. He threw 2 touchdown passes. He threw one to Tampa Bay, but he threw one to the San Francisco 49ers. One of those touchdown passes was to Richie James. Richie James Jr. Richie James, Marquise Goodwin, Kendrick Bourne. Those were the guys that played early on over Debo Samuel until he finally got going.
Debo started his first 2 games as a rookie, then didn't start for a month.
Yeah.
And then hit the starting lineup, and after that, he was the starter.
Yeah. And all of that started to connect when Mostert started taking off and, but I did want to go back to this because we have to start there, right? That's the 2019 season, but we do have to start in that area, right? We're only a week and change through free agency. Free agency isn't over. The 49ers haven't made that many signings. They've signed Mike Evans. They've signed Christian Kirk. They've signed offensive linemen. They've signed Nate Hobbs, who's a cornerback. But going back and looking at the other free agency time periods, especially right off the bat, is this the best that the 49ers have started their free agency? I'm going to say yes, but I want to go through all of the years because the 49ers haven't been shy on day one. They haven't been shy on day one. Like, if we love you, we're going to sign you on day one. So I want to know, do you feel the same way that I feel, Rob?
Off the top of my head, my first reaction is to say, yes, it is. Now,
Yeah.
I admit I haven't gone through year by year, and we're going to take a look at it just to sort of refresh our memories. But when you look at the quality of players that they have brought in at especially at the cost at which they've brought them in for, it's hard in my mind to top this, but we'll take a look at it here. Let's see. You can't really see that on the stream. We're going back all the way to 2017. And this was, when they are trying to overhaul this roster. They made a ton of moves. K'Wan Williams in 2017, Pierre Garçon, Marquise Goodwin, Robbie Gould, Kyle Juszczyk. Those are quality players. So that's not nothing. It's just the fact that the rest of the team around them stunk.
K'Wan Williams, Pierre Garçon, Marquise Goodwin, Robbie Gould, Brian Hoyer was a starter, Juice, Malcolm Smith, Logan Paulson, Aldrick Robinson. Yeah, the rest of that class is crap. It's just crap. But Juszczyk, K'Wan, you look at those guys and they're players. I mean, Hoyer started at quarterback. Hoyer started. So 2017 and 2017, we have to also preface it by saying that was absolutely a team trying their best to just, put things together. So 2017, we'll let it slide. That one where, you're off the Tom Sula Kelly train. It was a lot. They didn't win a game until week 14, whenever the hell it was. And then, Jimmy Garoppolo came and saved us. But 2018, Rob, what do we got here with the free agency class?
That was Richard Sherman. That was
nice.
the Weston Richburg, who played well before he got hurt.
I like it.
Jet McKinnon, who got hurt.
That would have worked if he wasn't, hurt. I get what they were doing.
The rest of it is Alfred Morris came that year. Jonathan Cooper, not a massive year, but look, the Richard Sherman, he was an All-Pro. I think a second-team All-Pro for them. Richburg, like we said, played well. That's two guys. That's decent. I wouldn't say it's the best, though.
I would say that's a bad class right off the rip. But hey, they can't all be winners. So I don't think that's the 2018. The 2019 one is going to be interesting. D Ford, you make the trade, and again, free agency, we don't mean signings, right? Like the Osa move, and I'm gonna keep calling him Osa. I'm not even gonna try for his last name. The Osa move was a trade. Okay, cool. I mean, you can keep every time I say Osa, you can say the last name and say it correctly. 2019 is interesting. D Ford. You bring in Emmanuel Mosley as a free agent, restricted free agent. Mostert was there already, right? Like Tevin Coleman was somebody in 2019 they brought in, right? Like they brought in off the rip from there. Like there's a bunch other ones. Like the reason that I'm having a tough time remembering is because I guess they didn't have that big of an impact. But that's why I was saying that this has to be the best one, because one of the 49ers, aside from Richard Sherman, landed a future free agent.
And the other part of it, too, is they also added Bosa, Debo, and Greenlaw in the draft that year. And I'm sorry, for some reason, they don't have the list up for 2019. So that's why I didn't bring it up. But that was in addition to the D Ford thing, like when you add three huge players, and especially Debo and Bosa in the draft, that is a massive, massive addition. So that was a hell of the boost from 2018 to 2019 was incredible.
Yeah, and that defense showed it. Absolutely. 2020, a season that we don't really like to speak about. Trent Williams came in. That wasn't free agency, though. That was during the draft. You add Trent Williams. 2020 is tough to remember in terms of who the 49ers brought in. Here we go. Kerry Hyder, he had a good time. Tom Compton, okay. Alex Barrett, I'm sure. I can't even believe that he's still in the league. Jordan Reed, that worked out for a little while. Didn't Jordan Reed have 7 or 8 touchdowns that year?
Yeah, he played well for the 49ers. That was the one time they actually found another tight end that wasn't a complete disaster.
Right. JJ Nelson, Tavon Austin. Wow. Spencer Long. Harness Grasu, starting center in 2020. I don't know if you guys remember that game. He was throwing balls in the dirt.
Sabrina Ionescu's husband.
Yeah, I didn't know that until that long ago either. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Jerron Brown, River Craycraft, Kevin White,
Ziggy Ansah.
Eek. Ziggy Ansah, that's still 2020. Damn. Yeah. Uh,
Nope.
yeah. 2020 is a bad one. That's a bad one. That's a
That's not
bad one.
no. But this is what we mean when we talk about like, oh, the 49ers drafts have been not great. It's like they've struggled in the draft at times, but also their free agent signings have not really been that great most of the time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Quan Alexander is the other one that I'm thinking of in 2019. And then he wound up getting let go. 2021, Alex Mack, big
Good.
move,
Yep.
huge. Samson Ebukam was very good for us. Mohamed Sanu. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo cursed about him in a press conference. That's all I've got.
That's right. He looks
Yeah,
fucking good,
he
man.
looks fucking good, man. Yeah, Arden Key, huge. Mer Hurst, Marquise Lee. My God, I forgot. My God, Michael Pruitt, um, Tony Jefferson, who's still in the league.
Yeah, damn.
Jordan Matthews, who will always be around. Uh, 2021
Josh
wasn't so
Norman.
bad.
Oh, man.
Josh Norman.
Remember he like
20
kept getting roasted, but he kept forcing fumbles and recovering fumbles.
And they kept sticking with him. I mean, there was what is it, that Arizona game where he got penalized. I was just like, I don't understand. Kyle Shanahan has like sent people to the shadow realm for worse. I mean, for less. And he just continues to keep playing. But yeah, 2021 was fine. Alex Mack was supposed to be the guy of the future, ends up retiring. But that's how important center is. And now we have Jake Brendel, right, guys?
Right. And who's upset about that?
All right. Oren Burks, this is the one.
2022.
Yeah. Charvarius Ward, huge signing. Day one. Kerry Hyder was back. Malik Turner, longtime 49er. And you wonder why he gets more snaps than that other guy who might not even exist, Tyler Croft, Kamiko Torre, George Odom, Willie Snead,
Tyler Croft, Robert Kimdiche.
Eek. Tashawn Gibson.
Gibson was a home run for them. They signed him on August 22nd, and he was a starting safety, and he played great for them.
Yeah.
That
and Frank Gore signed.
And the Ward signing are.
And Frank Gore signed a 1 day. Frank Gore signed a 1 day contract.
All right.
I mean, that just meant that he was trying to, retire. It's the same thing. Frank Gore. We lost Frank Gore and Alex Mack in the same season. Unbelievable. All right. 2022. 2023 is going to be the next one. And
2022 is pretty good.
2022 is pretty good, only because Charvarius Ward was so good.
Ward and Gibson, that combination. And Ray McLeod was a decent returner for them, even though I think he cost them a Super Bowl.
I mean, you definitely tried to like grit your teeth and say it. That wasn't easy for you to get out. I'll tell you that. All right, 2023. Javon Hargrave, Sam Darnold, Cleveland Ferrell, Isaiah Oliver, John Feliciano. Feliciano played in the last game of the season. So did Javon Hargrave. Chris Conley played in the last game of the season.
Brandon Allen.
Terrace Marshall.
Jeremy McNichols.
Terrace Mitchell.
Yeah.
Jeremy McNichols. I mean, I said McNichols should have came back. He signed a 1 year deal with Washington. Ben Barch.
God, this is a rough one, man. Cleve Farrell was a good signing. Other than that,
he was.
The whole class.
Yeah, that one's not good at all. Nothing.
Nope. Yuck and poo. 2023.
And it's crazy that Darnold is like so highly regarded because of his time here, and he never played.
Right. He started one game. It was a dud game at the end of the year where it didn't matter at all. And everyone wants to give him all this credit because he came in during the Ravens game, but he wasn't even that good and threw a pick at the 1 yard line in that game too.
Game was over.
Yeah. All right. Here's 2024.
Oh, God.
2024.
Here we go. Jordan Elliott, who left. Yuta Gross-Matos, gone. Leonard Floyd, gone. Devondre Campbell, gone. Chase Lucas, gone. Brandon Parker, gone. Isaac Yadam, gone. Joshua Dobbs, gone. Ezekiel Turner, gone. Eric Sauber, gone. Patrick Taylor, back. Rock Ya-Sin, gone. Trent Taylor, I don't know how you stick around. Yeah, I don't know how you stick around, dude. Like, you've got to tell me your secret, dude, because it has nothing to do with football at this point. Chris Hubbard, gone. Logan Thomas, gone. Frank Darby, gone. Oof, man, 2023. was rough.
No, that's 2024.
2024 was rough.
Matt
Let's go back.
Breida, I forgot about that.
Keyshawn Vaughn,
Robinson.
Presley Harvin.
Not great.
Yeah. So this is the best. This is the best start. So this is it. I think we've gotten here. I don't have to see next year because I know that wasn't better than this year.
When Eddie Pinheiro is like your best acquisition, you can't compete for sure.
And we have a new punter.
That's right. Corliss Waitman, come on down. First
Hey,
left-footed punter for the 49ers since the early 90s.
hooray. Totally needed that stat brought back to me, Rob. But yeah, this is the best one of all of the Shanahan Lynch era so far. And we still have time. And I'm talking about who you signed. You didn't overpay for Mike Evans. You didn't overpay for Christian Kirk. You traded for Oso, who should be in a good spot here for you. You checked all the boxes. Nate Hobbs is good secondary depth. You feel good right now. You feel real good. And when we're talking about how much it costs and what it can be, that's when you really start to see the value of this. Because plenty of teams just dumped all their money out. The Raiders, whoever. Doesn't mean that they're going to get good. But spending your money wisely is, I think, what the 49ers have been able to do this offseason above others.
Remember the old saying, right? The 49ers used to have it painted at the team facility when Harbaugh was there. I don't know where Jay went. He just bounced. But we'll see if he pops back. Oh, geez.
I'm here.
Oh, all right. We lost your image, but the old saying that used to be at the Niners facility was you either get better or you get worse, but you never stay the same. And if you just look at the NFC West right now, I think it's very clear the Rams got better immediately. They addressed their biggest need. They bring in 2 corners. They're better than anybody they had last year. The Rams are better. You look at the 49ers, to me, it is clear that they got better. They addressed need at wide receiver. They addressed the need at defensive line. You can argue how much, that's fine, but I don't think you could say they didn't get better than they were at the end of last year. When you look at the Seahawks, where are the Seahawks better than they were last year? I don't think
they have a ring.
Yeah, but it doesn't make them better, and it's not going to help them in 2026. That's 2025's ring.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing is you don't want to catch yourself keeping up with the Joneses. But the arms race in the NFC West, you have to keep up with. You have to. The Rams lost and didn't make the Super Bowl because they're secondary and special teams. So you go right out there and you address secondary right away. And not only did you address it with, some good players, you addressed it with probably the best 2 options that you can. And Kansas City's fine with that. You know what else, too? I want to give Kansas City a lot of credit. A lot of credit. They have their formula of letting guys go before they get paid, no matter how impactful you are, and they just fill that spot in the draft whenever they want. Charvarius Ward leaves. Cool. We just drafted Trent McDuffie. We're fine. Trent McDuffie's out. Cool. We're just gonna go get somebody else to help fill this defense. The Chiefs are not worried about overpaying people unless it's that scrub Travis Kelce. But they're not worried about that. And I think that is admirable because they have such belief in their system, their team, their quarterback, that they don't have to wring their hands over these decisions, and they can, hey, you want Trent McDuffie? No problem, buddy. We'll send him right over. Like, they're not even hesitating, and I really appreciate that about them because some teams get stuck looking at the trees and losing sight of the forest.
And I think that some teams are better at drafting certain positions. The Chiefs are good at drafting corners that work for them, man. Trent McDuffie, L'Jarius Sneed was good when he was in Kansas City for
Watson.
them. Watson.
He went over to the Rams.
Yeah, like whatever the reason is, they're good at it. Just like the Steelers used to be good at finding wide receivers, right? They went on a run where like every wide receiver they drafted was awesome. If you have that confidence, take advantage of that skill. Don't pay that guy. Trade that person for assets and use your skill to replenish the pool, so to speak, they've done that. 49ers, maybe you could say linebacker. They've been good at finding linebackers, but Nick Martin kind of looked a little shaky, so maybe that streak has come to an end.
When did he play?
Right.
You have film that you have film that I don't have? I'm about to go into my Google Drive right now. Speaking of linebacker, Rob, run it back. Dre Greenlaw's crazy ass is back in town. What's the over under on penalties after the whistle?
He will get one in the first game. In Australia, he will have one.
Easily. If there was a bet on sleeper or whatever, whoever it is, yes, I would absolutely take it. But 1 year, $7 million. PFF named it one of the 5 under the radar signings in free agency. Dre Greenlaw's back. I have an issue with going backwards in time with players, but I don't feel like I have that issue now with Greenlaw, and I think he's going to slide right back into being the guy that we all love, Draymond Green.
I don't think he's going to end up playing. I think he's going to get hurt. I think he's going to be hurt. That's my only hesitation. Now, it doesn't look like it's a lot of money, so that's good, and it's a short-term deal, so at least there's that side of it. I just have no confidence in him to stay on the field. But if he's on the field, 49ers defense just got a lot better.
You know what's funny is part of what happened with Dre Greenlaw, he signed a 3-year deal with Denver. I think a lot of what happened with Dre in terms of why Denver let him go was his comments about the team. He was hurt a lot. And then when he finally came back, he was like, oh, this defensive playbook is like reading Chinese. And then he brought up the Broncos' practicing habits. And boy, if you're worried about how the San Francisco 49ers tax their players in practice, oh dear. Denver doesn't give those guys a day off. They're hitting every single day.
Yeah, what did he say about that? I remember he talked about that.
He said that Kyle gave us days off to try and get us back. He would give us the last 2-3 days off to try and get us back. He goes, but there's no such thing with Sean Payton, and we have to play every single day. Funny, right? Because we talked about, how, whatever, Seattle and what is it that came out? Was it on the Bustin' with the Boys thing where the doctor cleared George Kittle for the divisional game?
Yeah, so George Kittle said he tore 2 ligaments in his ankle against the Colts. Remember, he got hip drop tackled, and he tore 2 ligaments in his ankle against the Colts, and he kept playing. And he thinks that was part of the reason the Achilles went in the playoff game, because he was overcompensating with the other leg, because he was basically on one leg, and so that's what happened. That was his theory, he said.
Let's be 100% transparent and clear here. Yes, the 49ers doctors are there to do the right thing and take care of the players. But yes, the 49ers doctors have somebody in their ear like, yo, is this guy going to play or what? We need him. And if there's a chance that he's going to play, they're going to push for that.
And by the way, I'm sure George was like, there's no way in hell I'm missing a playoff game. I've been playing on this ankle for weeks in the regular season. I'm definitely playing in the playoffs.
It's Any Given Sunday, right? The movie. That's probably my favorite football movie of all time because it's the closest thing to mirroring the NFL in every way. Guys are hurt. They're playing through it. The doctor knows that something's wrong, but they're letting them play through it. And the NFL. The NFL is a man's league because there's men that desire nothing more than to play football, and they're gonna do it regardless of what they're paid or what they want to get paid. Like, those guys are still gonna go out there. Remember in 2020, Rob, when George Kittle had the injury and there was no reason for him to come back and play football in those last few games, and I believe Grant, asked him at a press conference, and Kittle was like, yeah, I heard you said that I should practice my little heart out. He goes, but I'm going to play my heart out. And he was like, and that's just who, like, the type of guy he is. That's who football players are. They want to play. Shout out to Perk, man. Thank you for the donation. Yeah, rep that ish. Much love. Jason and Rob, thank you for tuning in, buddy. But football players, they want to play football, Rob. That's all they, and they know that their shelf life is short for playing football. So you don't have time to waste not playing
And
football.
the other part of it too, and look, I can't speak for George. This is me speculating, but there's a difference between, hey, if I go out and play, I could really mess up my ankle. And if I go out and play, I could really mess up my brain, right? Concussions are a different thing. It's not treated the same. George is like, yeah, if I go out and I mess up my ankle or whatever, I'll have surgery in the off season and we'll fix it. Like, guys are willing to risk that stuff, especially for a playoff game, especially for a guy like Kittle, who's been to 2 Super Bowls and lost them both and knows how old he is and what he's going to turn next season. He doesn't know if he's ever going to get back to the playoffs. Of course he played on torn ligaments.
And that's just who he is. That's who a lot of the guys in this league are, or on the 49ers are. So, yeah. I wanted to ask you, because I do see it, and we might as well talk about it. It's March 17th, and Brandon Aiyuk is still a San Francisco 49er. This is going all the way to June 1st, isn't it?
I think it is. And I definitely think it's going towards after the draft. There is no reason to release him before the draft, because who knows, maybe a team doesn't get a wide receiver, whatever. You don't know what's going to happen. You have no idea what is going to happen. You might as well keep him at least through the draft and see, because if you get a pick for him, it's 100% a win and it costs you nothing to wait. So I know teams think the 49ers or some fan, I shouldn't say teams, some fans think the 49ers are being petty. I don't think that's what it is. I mean, maybe that's part of it, but I think the main driver of this is just business.
Yeah, it's $20 million if they get rid of him before June 1st. You have to limit that. You have to limit that all the way down to like the last moment. And you never know. This league's stupid. There's plenty of stupid franchises. Somebody might send a trade. Somebody might just say, like, we wanna. But also, there is a little bit to it of like, yeah, I know what you want to do, Brandon. Yeah, we know you want to go to Washington. But it's not in our best interest right now to let that happen, so we're not going to let it happen. And now you just got to deal with it. Now, on the flip side of YouTube channels that are really good, Ricky Pearsall is really good and wholesome. Very scared to click on Brandon Aiyuk's, and I don't want to check it out at all, actually.
Don't watch the videos. Just look to see what he posts, because apparently that's where he posts his thoughts. Speaking of draft. Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, speaking of draft trades, Jay, did you see this? Now that Jalen Waddle has been traded from the Dolphins, everything they got from the Trey Lance trade is now off of their team. And I will say this, there is no question Miami won that trade. No two ways about it. It was a disaster for the 49ers. Yet the Dolphins never sniffed a Super Bowl. The 49ers went to one and went to multiple NFC championship games. It is crazy that the 49ers, where that trade was a complete train wreck, ended up better off than the Dolphins. Yeah, look, and not only is Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and Bradley Chubb not there, Mike McDaniel's not there. Mm-hmm. Tua Tagovailoa is not there. Tua Tagovailoa is the new Atlanta Falcons starting quarterback. Football's funny, and that's why the whole draft picks and all this stuff, and like who you send and what it could be. That's why I love doing like recaps of the draft, and you're like, damn, you drafted this guy, you should have drafted this guy. It's a fun exercise, but it's impossible to do. It's just impossible to do. Mike UA, we're $2 to hear Rob say the substation got Kittle. Say it. I dare you. Say it. The substation got Kittle.
Damn.
There you go. It pained me to say it, but I said it. The substation got Kittle.
You know who didn't get? Do you know who the substation didn't get? Madden 26 is available free right now on PlayStation. If you have PlayStation Plus. So I downloaded it and I played a game with the 49ers. I haven't played Madden in 10 years. I used to be, Rob, I'm talking about I'm not even joking. I used to be the king. Where I would walk in 05, I would walk into a house and I would look around and I would be like, which one of your mans is the best here? Which one of your mans is the best? Pick up the sticks so I can wash you out. I run the same 3 plays over and over on offense and defense and wash you out. There's nothing you can do about it. I will tell you where I'm going with the football. There's nothing you can do about it. But Brandon Aiyuk had 7 catches, 2 touchdowns, and 134 yards for me in this game in my first win on Madden. It was hard not to target him, man. He was open the entire time. Like, every time I threw it to Ricky Pearsall, he would go up and try to go get it, and he would drop it.
And Madden 05, that was the Ray Lewis year.
Yes.
Well, it's interesting too to bring that up because that was Steve Young talks about that all the time. How Brandon Ayuk's superpower was that he was able to get open super fast, and Brock Purdy could always find him and get him the football. And Mayoko was talking about the receivers the Niners have in the room this year, and he kind of brought up an interesting thought. And it was basically like the Niners need guys that could get open so that Brock doesn't have to do as much with his feet and as much scrambling. Like they're trying to take that off of his plate so that they don't have to rely on him so much to buy time for guys to get
Smart.
open. Makes sense.
It's smart, I think. I mean, again, look, Brock's superpower is that stuff outside of the pocket. You know, it is. But this offense is never any more efficient with anybody under center when it's not clicking. The guys open, 3 steps, drop, 5-step drop, ball out. Like, this offense never gets to that place. Now, we had a quarterback before, Jimmy Garoppolo, who he wouldn't see it. And then when he got outside the pocket, you were just praying that the football would end up in a garbage can or out of bounds, as opposed, But Brock is good at that. But I also do think they do need to bring him back into the drop back passing game and just allow those little things to burst out. That shouldn't be what you're relying on Brock for. That should be an added bonus.
And I think they were relying on Brock for it last year. Like they really, especially when, against the better teams, they really relied on Brock to make something happen. And Kyle has always said that he looks at scrambling and buying time as sort of the break glass in case of emergency skill because you can't count on it time after time. And I do agree with that. Like if that's the foundation of your offense is going to be very, very hit or miss. And Kyle doesn't want that. He doesn't want his quarterback to have to do that. And I think he would say it's a better thing for the 49ers if Brock doesn't have to. Oh, by the way, Brock Purdy got turf toe when he was scrambling out of the pocket. So I think probably that was run through Kyle's mind as well.
Damn Seattle. So look, it's March 17th. There's still a few days left of this week in free agency. Free agency has slowed down mightily. The last time I spoke with you, Rob, we went on right after. Mm-hmm. And the new details are out. The Ravens are pieces of shit, aren't they?
I don't look at it like that.
Did you hear what Max Crosby said?
He basically said that when he got to the Ravens facility, like he just felt like something was off, right? And then all of a sudden they were like, "Oh, your physicals fail." He didn't talk to the GM or anything.
And that's shocking. Because Eric DeCosta, when I'm at the combine, I wait for John Lynch. And then there's certain players certain GMs that I'll go, or coaches that I'll go down, depending on who they are. I, by accident, asked Eric DeCosta a question at the combine. And he looks dead through my soul. Like, this man is very insane with eye contact. Where he wants you to know where he's coming from. He respects you as a person, and he wants to let you know that he's dialed into everything you're saying. Little did I know that it was scaring the shit out of me. And it just seems like he's such a stand-up guy. It didn't seem like it was part of his MO when it comes to like this way, because he went in that press conference and was like, like we're not sleazy or anything like that. Are you sure? Like a little bit of that feels very sleazy.
They didn't do anything they weren't allowed to do. Like, they don't need to lie and say he failed his physical to back out of that deal because the new league year hadn't come yet. And it's before the new league year starts, nothing is official. Nothing is done. You can back out of any move for any reason. Remember Frank Gore, the Philadelphia Eagle? Now, this was a trade. He was in the team facility. So it sucks for Max Crosby. I also completely agree to that. But number one, Crosby also could have said, I don't want to go there at that point, and he would have been within his rights too. And number two, another team could have signed Trey Hendrickson and they couldn't get a deal done. So you can sit here and blame the Ravens all you want, but in my opinion, they played it perfectly. They end up getting a really good pass rusher still, and they kept their 2 first-round draft picks.
Yeah, I mean, look, would you have wanted Max Crosby? Yeah, I think he's the better bet moving forward, regardless of whatever the injury concern is. But Trey Hendrickson still has a lot in the tank, and you're still going to be able to do whatever it is that you want this year. So It might have been better that this happened. But we have about 10 minutes left. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the Gold Standard Podcast Network, wherever you get your audio podcast. Mike UA says they need guys to beat man. Seattle showed that. Mike Evans, Christian Kirk. I'm fine with that. Is this enough so far? And I know, we're being a little bit ahead of ourselves. March 9th was the first day of free agency. Today's the 17th, which would make it 8 days. Is this enough for John Lynch to keep his job and not be moved up anywhere?
Well, I wonder how much of if that was sort of in the cards for John Lynch, then how much credit does he deserve for what has happened now, or is someone else exerting more influence? I have no idea. No idea whatsoever. I don't really care, to be honest. Like, I just want the 49ers to get good players, but
sure.
I think we got to see how it goes. Like right now, if I told you the 49ers got as far as they did last year, would you consider that a success? Would you consider that a disappointment?
I consider it a success just based on the circumstances and that division. I do. I mean, I understand that if we didn't win the championship, that the season's a failure. But when you lose Bosa and Warner and all those guys, and you lose Purdy and Pearsall, and you still win 12, 13 games, come on. How's that not a success?
Right. No, I'm saying if they get to the divisional round next year and lose in 2020.
Oh, no. And everybody's healthy? No. We're not. This is it. Like, we're not putting up with that. I think the extra context is needed. You absolutely have to look at it and say who was there, who was, what was there. That's fine. But if the 49ers are healthy and Mike Evans plays a bunch of games and Christian Kirk plays a bunch of games and Christian McCaffrey plays all his games and Brock Purdy plays all his games and Kittle comes back and you guys don't make it to the NFC Championship game, no. I'm not good with that at all. I'm not good with that at all. And I am somebody who is very patient when it comes to what the bar of success in the NFL is, right? Just because you didn't win a Super Bowl doesn't mean your season's a failure. I'm going to die on that hill. I've had plenty of seasons where the 49ers have done great. They didn't win a Super Bowl. But this particular year, if everybody is healthy and we have all the context and everything that we need and they have a good draft and those guys go out there and they get their ass kicked in the divisional round and they don't make it to the NFC Championship, oh, yeah. I'm not going to be happy about that, Rob.
I agree. I mean, if they have their guys, they're as good as any roster out there.
For sure.
Close to it. Close enough to be able to have a fighting chance in any game that they play. But that's a huge if. It's a massive if for this team. We don't know. We have to wait and see. But also, like, at some point, when you have had the injuries that the 49ers have had for going on a decade now, that can't always be a cop-out, Like, they haven't any changes they've made to the training staff, almost all of them have been promoting people that were already on the staff from within. They haven't
that and Brock Purdy has saved them, Rob.
They haven't really moved the training staff out, and they're not doing it this year either. So it's like you can keep saying, well, we keep having injuries. It's like, but you haven't really done anything to change that. And they never tell us, by the way, when we say, are you doing anything to change it? They say, oh, yeah, we change a lot of things, but they never tell us what they are. They never give us even a single example of it. So at some point, you can't keep saying, we got injured. You can't judge us. You can't judge us. So, this season's going to be very, very interesting to see how it all turns out.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, again, the 49ers are in a 3-team race in the NFC. You look around, I understand we need a draft and all that stuff, but 49ers, Rams, Seahawks. Like, those are your 3. And then, you figure out who it is after that. It's up to you, man. Whatever it is that you feel. But the NFC West is the top 3. And the 49ers are going to have to face and try to beat both those guys. And that's the thing, is like, your division has now become a gauntlet. No matter what your third place schedule is going to be, you still have 2 games against Seattle, 2 games against the Rams. Whatever, the Cardinals are the Cardinals. But, yeah, they have to continue to compete because, like you said, as long as Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay are alive, and, the Rams are going to be fine.
Yep.
Right? And the Seahawks, yeah, they lost some people, but they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. So it's just interesting to see that the 49ers are trying to pull themselves out of a position and the other two teams are in different positions than them. The Rams are holding on by fingernails right now with Stafford. Like, because that's the only reason they can make all these moves is like Stafford's gonna be there and we're gonna be, in it, whatever. Who's the next quarterback? Whoever this next quarterback is, all that stuff's gotta change. The Seahawks have won a Super Bowl. They have another draft. They'll probably take this draft off. They'll still be very good next season. They'll still be very at the top of the league, right? And then the 49ers are in here plugging holes with 33-year-old wide receivers and Christian Kirk and it's just the pathway for these three teams to find a successful roster has been very fascinating to me.
I think that there's a decent chance that AJ Brown ends up on the Rams.
No,
They're not going to trade him till after June, but there is no way that they are keeping AJ Brown just because Howie Roseman wants you to think that so that he gets more for AJ Brown. It was done last season. Like, do people forget how toxic it was there in Philadelphia? Do people forget nobody wanted to coordinate that offense because of how, even though it's loaded with stars, nobody wanted to coordinate that offense because it was toxic there. They got their ass kicked by the 49ers backups in the playoff game. He's not going to be there next year. He's going to get traded. We know the Rams are already interested. The Rams make big swings. Plus, I think the Rams are in DGAF mode because they know this could be Stafford's last year. I think they're going to go for it. I would not be shocked at all if AJ Brown ends up on the Rams.
no, God, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. And you just wanted to piss me off, right? Like, the other thing too about the free agency group, and I want 49ers fans to understand this, is that this free agency group wasn't exactly like loaded. There's been plenty more years where there's been way more. Like when Mike Evans is the prize at 33, um, or you're like, oh, Alec Pierce is going to be our number one. Good luck. I don't want to be in that spot where I'm like, trying to depend on Mike Evans at 33. Now, obviously, the 49ers have different weapons and things like that. Like I'm talking about other teams. And then turning Alec Pierce into somebody that he's never been and getting rid of Michael Pittman. I don't want to be in that spot. I definitely don't want to be in that spot. So there's a lot of ways that this can go. There's a lot of edge rushers that are still out there. The 49ers are still going to have to do that. But the wide receiver room, Christian Kirk, 1 year, $6 million. Hollywood Brown. Now all you're left with is like Tim Patrick and Khalif Raymond. And, things are starting to get a little rough. Like even Kendrick Bourne's not available, like you said. So
Juwan Jennings, meanwhile, still out there.
you better talk to your agent, dude. Like, you better stop, like, walking into a room and being like, I want 20 million with a straight face.
What in the world? Why would he think that he could get $20 million a year? You've never even had a 1,000-yard season, dude. You're slow as hell. You're in the best offense in the league with the guy that can get you open. And you think some team's going to give you $20 million? Why would they do that when they could just draft some? I don't know what advice he got, but man, was he dead wrong.
Oh, baby. This is not. Oh, Khalif Raymond signed, Ariel said.
Well, there you go.
Who cares? Yeah, who cares? Like, that's the point, right? Like, it's just, there's nobody left right now. Kirk never had 1,000 yards and got 18 million 4 years ago. Yes, the Jacksonville Jaguars believed a lot in him. 100%.
And they got crushed for that contract, by the way. Everybody that deal.
They got crushed because we're looking at Deebo Samuel like, God damn it, don't look at him and say like, oh, that's what I want. Like you tripled his numbers in the first year. But yeah, the 49ers is not really left anything in wide receiver. I still suspect them to go in the draft. Same thing with edge. I do think you need another edge as well too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the 49ers are in a good spot, Rob. I'm really excited about where this offseason's gone so far.
I think they have done just about from where they were and what they had to do. I think you could argue they've done about as good as you could have expected. Now, maybe you wanted them to go sign Linderbaum. Okay, that was never going to happen. Not when he got $28 million a year. And the 49ers
That's ridiculous.
Jake Brendel for $4 million a year. Like they're
and they think he's one of the best centers in the league. So
they're going to say Linderbaum's not 7 times better than Jake Brendel. So I think they've done as as good as they could have done. We got to see what they do in the draft. But damn, I'm ready, man. Start the season up now. Let's go.
Yeah, 100%. That'll do it for this episode of the Bully Ball Podcast on the Gold Standard Podcast Network. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for when we go live. Make sure you follow Rob on Twitter at StatsOnFire. On Twitter, follow me at JasonApate2103. Follow the YouTube channel that I have, and make sure you guys are subscribed to the Gold Standard Podcast Network wherever you get your audio podcasts. Rob, thank you for joining me, man. Again, yeah, things are moving in the right direction, I would say. And Vinny says, Jay, hope your back is better. Great show, fellas. I'm feeling better.
Yeah.
But I want to knock on wood first. So we're getting there. We're getting there. But for Jay, for Rob, we're out here.
Peace.